Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk Change. I'm Lisa Blanchet, and I'm a change strategist and leadership coach. And I've had the opportunity to work with organizations and help guide them through change for more than 20 years. And there is no doubt that change is a journey. And while a lot of organizations do a really good job, actually, at defining the future, talking about their vision, and helping people start to understand what that's going to look like, but not as many choose to invest in understanding the current state. In my experience, this is a decision that's really made more from a financial perspective. It's a desire to perceive what they, save money. It's also perhaps to get started on that development of that future state quicker. But the thing is that when you're thinking about change or you're thinking about navigating through a journey, you need to understand where you're starting from. Think about your GPS, whether you're a Google Maps fan, a Waze fan. When you put in your destination, it's always looking for, well, where did you start? Because without knowing where do you start, how do you navigate the best possible route? When you're thinking about change, it's really the gap between where you are today and where you want everyone to be. That's the change journey that you're about to embark on. And now, depending on the scope of the initiative or the existing knowledge of processes, perhaps the organization has a very strong process culture and they've documented their existing processes. And for some of those organizations, there's an obvious jump to say, we already understand the processes. We already know how work happens today. And, they are partially right or maybe a lot right. But the thing is that they know how work is supposed to happen on paper. And, even those organizations that don't have a lot of their work, process documented, they then tend to rely on, well, so-and-so said this is how work happens. Or they rely on somebody that used to be in that field or used to be in that area of the organization that's perhaps now moved over to another role or moved into a senior position. And they're relying on how they think work happens or how work used to happen when they were in that role. As a change practitioner or a change leader, it's really, early in the early stages, important to get out into the field, right? To see how work happens, right? So whether that's walk a mile in the shoes of those individual employees or teams, perhaps it's holding focus groups, it's one-on-one conversations. It's really important to understand how the current state actually happens. And that doesn't just mean how do I touch the system, right? So a lot of times when we're looking at system implementations, the processes are driven within how the system works. But the thing is that nobody is just using the system. There is something that they're doing before they touch the system, something they're doing as an interim step in between, or something they're doing after. And so getting out there into the field and having those conversations with folks that are doing the work right now, not relying on how you used to do it or how you think it's done, is really important in understanding, what is it we need to consider when we're thinking about mapping out and navigating that change journey. When you take the time to really understand the current state or understand how work happens today, you can very quickly see where, you may have two groups within the same department. Let's take two different teams within operations. And while there's an assumption, or maybe even their titles show you that they have the same role, but actually they perform their jobs in quite a different way. Maybe it's because some of their smaller tools are different, but even sometimes when the tools are the same, the way they actually perform their work is different. Sometimes that's based on, the knowledge has been passed down and handed off. Perhaps there's long-term, short-term employees. There's all kinds of reasons. But the point is that if you're just making an assumption and you're not sure where they're starting, how can you possibly meet them where they are to take them on the journey that you need them to go on? Understanding the current state is also not just something for, the change practitioner or a project team to think about. It's also something that's really important for a leader of a team to think about. It's getting to dig in and think and look and act curious, leveraging our curiosity to really understand how work actually does flow. I mean, how you think it does across your team, and how maybe it did last year. But your team has probably continued to improve the way they work together. Maybe somebody new has joined the team. Maybe there's some things that are shifted. And also maybe you know exactly how work happens. But creating that understanding and that desire to learn more about the current state, as a leader, it also gives you an opportunity to start to engage your team in possibility thinking. Actively listening to, your team talk about the way they do their work today also gives you an opportunity to listen, to ask the question and then and listen to what they're sharing. But it also gives them an opportunity to share where they could see improvements, right? And that there is the possibility that we don't have to just do it this way because we've always done it this way. You start to give them that idea of other things are possible, and you get to see where that there's an opportunity as well for them to have input into the change. So you don't have to stay, in that current state analysis. Definitely, this is not about analysis paralysis. You don't have to stay there long. You just need to stay there long enough so that you can say that you have an understanding on where the starting point is for your journey. And if you need any help clarifying and creating that change journey that starts with your current state, or you're looking to build the change skills for your team, feel free to reach out. Take care.